Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Mr. Ashraf and I will be delivering this week's lecture. Okay, so this week's lecture is on summarizing. Okay, more specifically, the process involved in doing the summary. Right, we have already covered this topic previously, but so this is just going to be a quick recap. Okay, so without further ado, let's just go through it very quickly and then we will look at the an essay, right? We look at an essay and then we will summarize it following the technique that we are going to learn today. Okay, so let's go through this very quickly. A summary is a shortened version of an original text. When you summarize, you state the most important information of a text using your own words. Okay, so what's the use of summarizing, right? So this is very important, especially if you are writing a research paper, right? When we write a research paper or an academic paper, we have to refer to other work, and when we refer to other work, we have to adapt the knowledge in that work into our own essay, right? So that it become our own source. Okay, so let's go through the steps. Okay, so the first step, of course, is you have to read the article and then you have to make sure that you really understand what the article is all about, or you have to understand as much as possible. Okay, yeah, so read it multiple times and then you highlight important points and take notes as you read. Okay, next, break the text down into sections. Okay, so this would make it easier for you, right? So, because you tackle it sections by sections, and you will not be overwhelmed by perhaps the difficulty of the text, right? So, also make sure that you familiarize yourself with the the structure of a scientific paper or a journal article, right? So usually a journal article or an academic paper would have certain sections, right? They would have introductions, they would have literature review, they have methodology, and they would have the results. Right. Other type of articles may not be explicitly divided into sections, but most articles and essays will be structured around a series of subpoints or themes. Okay, so this is just to help you understand how to write the text better lah. Okay. Next, identify key points in each section. Okay, so in each of the paragraph, there would be a main point, right? And you have to identify those key points. Okay, you highlight lah. Okay. Remember that you only have to extract the key points, and you might have to think more carefully about what points are most important for the reader to understand its argument. Okay, so the function of the summary is you have to make sure that you transfer whatever it is in the original text into the summary, right? So your summary must capture the essence of what the original article is all about. Okay, next. Okay, so the process of writing the summary, right? Put the key points that the article aims to communicate in your own words. In other words, you paraphrase. Okay, so paraphrasing is a very important technique for this lesson. All right, so paraphrasing is the technique in which you adapt other people's source into your own, but you have to change it a bit and you have to put citation. Okay, the best way to do this is to put the article aside and write your own understanding of the author's key points. All right. So one technique that I always use when I write summary or I paraphrase is I would read it, go through it once, and then I would try to remember the key points. Right. So I remember it. And then I would try to rewrite the key point in my own words, right? So in that way, I would not be following the structure of the authors. In other words, I would try to form my own um, sentence, right? Which is what some paraphrasing is all about. Okay, and then lastly, right, check the summary against the article. All right, so you have to check for uh, whether you have taken everything that is important in the original article, and then you also have to look at whether the sentence is too similar or not too similar with the original, right? So you have to make sure that it is not too similar, and your summary should not include supporting details. All right. So the most important thing you have to remember is when you're summarizing, you are transferring whatever it is in the original article into the summary, right? So you have to make sure that it is accurate and it is not too similar with the original article. Okay, so there's an example here, so you can go through it on your own, right? But for this video, I'll show you notes that I've already prepared. Okay, so this is um, an a part of a book actually, right? So this is part of a book from this book titled Dopamine Nation, right? So it is about addiction, right? So this is one part of the book lah, which is talking about the risk factors for addiction. So this is the original article. So it is talking about drugs addiction and what is the reason for people to get addicted, right? So this is only talking about one risk factor, and it is the big one of the biggest risk factor, right? Which is easy access, right? Easy access to that drug, right? So let's go through it together. When it's easier to get a drug, we're more likely to try it. In trying it, we're more likely to get addicted to it, right? So this passage, this essay is basically talking about that lah. Okay, so you can go through it on your own. Is very important. This is very interesting, right? It is talking about um, the U.S. opioid epidemic, right? Whereby it is the beginning of a stage or a period whereby a lot of people in the U.S. become addicted to opioid, right? And it is because at that time, doctors started to prescribe this opioid to people, right? Oxycontin, Vicodin, Duragesic, fentanyl. So these drugs is used in the medical way, of course, right? So that's why doctors could prescribe it. But the thing is, they didn't realize how powerful the drugs really was, right? So in the end, a lot of people become addicted to it. And then using the normal drug would not be enough anymore, and then they started to use more powerful kind of drug. Okay, so so that's just a bit about the article lah. Right, I'll put these notes in the e-campus. Okay, all right, so we have it. All right, so you try to understand it fully on your own first, and then in the next page, this is my process lah. I would highlight the key point that I think is important, right? So I highlight it, and I would try to remember it, right? And then um, I would write the summary lah, right? I've prepared the summary here, right? So as you can see, it's written in various colors here because this is to show the where I get it from, right? So the green one is from this lah, the green one. The purple one is here, right? But this one is pink. I think something wrong with the color scheme here. And then the blue one is from this part. And then the purple one right here. And then the last one is the orange one right here, right? So I'm just using the color to show which part I got it from. Okay, so make sure that you go through the notes on your own, right? See how it is done. All right, so you can see also how I do paraphrasing, right? How I change some of the wording, right? So for example, quadrupling here, I change it to here, increase fourfolds, right? So from quadruple become fourfolds, right? Which is the same thing lah, right? And there's also part whereby you don't have to change. For example, easy access. It is easy access, right? Because why I don't change it? Because it is an important key point, right? Key terminology here, right? So there are parts that you have to change. There are parts you don't have to change. All right. So please go through it on your own, and then yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for our lesson. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy.